In this presentation today, we're going to learn how to shop online. You'll be able to get a 2D or 3D step file for the actuator you're looking for. You'll also be able to save the configuration so you can load it back in at a different time and take a look at what you'd already come up with. And we can also customize the actuator to exactly what you need. Before I get into a little bit of an intro of Igus itself, I just wanted to let you know that we've got myself, I'm the product specialist for the Drylin department and Igus Incorporated. We've also got Matt Rozzero, who's the product manager for all of North America also. He's going to be acting as a moderator as well, so if you have any questions, feel free to send them over to us via the chat function. And as we go along, if you have any ideas, applications you would like to talk about in the future, you can always shoot me over an email. It's just going to be my first initial and then my last name, which is mrozzero@igus.com. And I'm pretty sure you have my email address anyway, as I've probably sent you an email to invite you to this. So, Igus, as we know it, founded in 1964 in Cologne, Germany. We've got locations in 35 countries, partners in 80 countries. So that means that we're up to over 3,000 employees worldwide. We're ISO certified. And because of how large of a company we are, we're able to now offer global support. Igus Incorporated in the North American region was founded in 1985. Almost 225,000 square foot corporate headquarters. We have complete inventory of over almost 30,000 different Igus components. ISO certified. We've got about 430 employees here, and that's including the 120 or even more than that now actually. Direct Igus sales employees. So a little primer on our polymers. We have a base polymer that's responsible for the resistance for wear. Then we're able to add fibers and filaments. These reinforce the bearing. They allow for higher forces and edge loading onto the bearings. We also include solid lubricants. These lubricants lubricate the bearing independently and prevent friction in the system. And you can see on the bottom a close-up depiction of what the bearing material looks like. One of the things that we're most proud of is the Igus Test Lab. We've been testing tribopolymers since 1985, the same year that we were opened here in the US. Almost 41,000 square foot area in Germany that we have for this testing. Over 300 new materials are developed and tested annually based on customers' requests and needs. We perform over 11,000 tests each year on over 50 machines. So we have customer test capabilities. So if you've got an application that you need to get run, we can do it for you. The empirical data is the basis for our online tools. So today we're looking at the HTS Configurator, which is going to allow you to build the actuator that you want. We also have other web pages that can help you determine which actuator will work best for your application. And the data that goes into those configurators really comes from this test lab, which is constantly performing tests on all of our products. So here's a sample of some of our dry tech products. We've got bearings at the top. We've got it's what are called our PRT. It's a slewing ring. We've also got bar stock. We've got tribo tape, we call it. It's kind of a sticky back tribofilament tape that you can use. That's all in the top row. The middle row here, we've got some of our Drylin, which I'm here to kind of help you with, that department. We've got all of these, all on the left side and on the right side. You have all the right side is all the actuators, on the left side, just kind of our regular linear motion systems. At the bottom, we have some of our specialty items, such as the motorized actuators with a belt drive. We've got our lead screws. We've also got some, we call them the Iguball department, where we have these ball bearings that we can offer also. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. The type of table that we're going to be assembling today in our configurator is called an HTS table, an HTS configurator. And it belongs to this family of linear technology. So this is where you would find it on our website. And I'll keep this up for just a couple of seconds, just so you can see where we're going to be headed, but I'm going to take you over to our website now to show you exactly how to get to it. So all you have to do is go into igus.com. Right at the very top, there's going to be a spot for configurators. And then you go to linear technology. And over here on the left, HTS screw-driven actuator configurator. And that will take you right to it. So right off the bat, it shows you kind of a depiction of what the table is going to look like. There's going to be a lead screw running through the middle. There's going to be 2 shafts on each side, these 2 end blocks, and then this quad block in the middle, which has the lead screw nut in the middle that can allow it to go back and forth. You can choose a right-hand thread for the screw, or a left-hand thread, or a left and a right, where the left style threading on this side or on this side, or you can switch them back and forth. So when you turn the screw, these will either go inwards or outwards towards each other. You can choose the quattro, they call it, the quad block, large square, or you can choose the compact version also. You can even change the number of carriages here. You can have the quad block and a compact, you can have 2 compacts, you can have 2 of a large carriage. So it's really all up to you. If you want to keep it as simple as possible, you can, but the configurator allows you to be able to kind of have some fun and see if there's something else you can use. So for over here, we get to see what options we have to drive the configurator. If you want to do it manually, we've got this here where you would have like a hand wheel over here. There's like a clamp to keep things in place. We have a motorized version here. We've got our NEMA style motors that attach directly to it by way of our motor flanges that we also provide. If you don't want either one of those and you're going to be providing the way of driving this on your own, you can always just have the lead screw coming out the side. You can have it, a pin machined to it to match up with whatever you're going to attach. You can also see already that we have a price in the bottom right corner. So as you go along and you add things, you subtract things, this is always going to be in real time showing you the price for one piece of whatever you're working on. Over here, there's a little spot where it says actions. This will be useful later too, because you can upload prior configurations. At the end of your configuration session, you're going to be given an LTW number. You can always upload that LTW number into this system and it can pull all your information back up too. So there's 2 different ways of loading the, you either will be given a config file or you can use the LTW number. And that is helpful too. If you have one of those numbers and you did call into us or you sent us an email, we'd be able to pull in that same configuration number and work with you together on the same project. So if you hit continue, at the very top, you can either customize it in a kind of standard style. If you want a full aluminum design, we can do that too. If you want something that's corrosion resistant, we can go to a stainless steel design, and an FDA compliant one, which would have stainless steel metal parts with our FDA compliant bearings. Temperature, if we're going to be going to low temperatures or very hot temperatures, you can choose whatever you need here, along with humidity. Any humidity restrictions, if this thing's going to be underwater for a long time or if it's going to be splashed upon. Either way, we've got you covered. The lead screw support, meaning at the end block where the lead screw is being held onto, you can either choose a plain bearing, one of our iGlide bearings, or you could choose one of our ball bearings. This is an important one because if the actuator is going to be spinning, if the lead screw is going to be having rotations per minute more than 100, I would always tell you to put a ball bearing in there. It'll be better on wear, it'll feel a lot better, even just by handling it. I think it's a much better choice. So in theory, if you're going to be motorizing this actuator, I would, rule of thumb, always put a ball bearing in the end block. You can choose your shaft material here, either steel, stainless steel, or aluminum. You can do lead screw materials here, and you can choose the pitch or feet per rotation over here of the lead screw. So for this table, because on the first page, and now on the second page here, if you see we're on this particular size table allows you to have 4 of these screw pitches, so that you can either do a trapezoidal 10 by 2, a trapezoidal 10 by 3, or one of our dry spin 10 by 12 or 10 by 50 if you need something a lot quicker. If you want to make sure they're self-locking and you don't accidentally purchase something that isn't, it takes away the dry spin options, which are high helix. So if this is going to be a vertical application, I would definitely keep it with the self-locking, just to make sure that the screw doesn't backdrive on you. So on the bottom we have our 4 installation sizes. There's 8, 12, 20, and 30. And what those are calling out is the size of the shafts on the actuator. So we've got max stroke. That's how long we feel comfortable making the actuator before we get into trouble with the screw being a little bit too long. That's kind of the thing that limits this. And the max load is right underneath it. What we have for a max load is pretty much if we used the same criteria for all of these. So the maximum values are valid for only one criteria, not really in combination. So if we had a really heavy load, we'd probably be able to make the table, the actuator move a little slower. If we were moving really fast, but the loading was really low, we'd be able to keep the load numbers higher. But we can go through all of that type of stuff at some point when we go through the configurators for whether or not the products will work for you. So let's say we want to stick with a size 12. We can continue here. This is the page where we can input our stroke length. So we define stroke as the H1 plus the H2, which is the 2 amounts of space that the quad block is not occupying. For the lead screw nut, you can either choose a standard nut, preloaded nut, there's an anti-backlash option, and or a zero backlash. And if you have questions on all 4 of these, I'm sure we can get to that too, all the different types. We also can have a radial clearance adjustment, depending on what type of block you use. We have one that's adjustable and then the not adjustable one. And like I said before, as you choose these different options, you can see how it changes price down here. So if we chose preload and adjustable, it goes up to $441. And some of these, like preload is available for adjustable, but the standard is not. So if you can't click on something, it just means that it's something that we don't currently offer. This illustration is just here to show you what the dimensions, where they are and how they're called out. It's not actually to scale. We'll get to that in a couple more slides from here. But this information down here is definitely true. So if we have a stroke length of 100 millimeters, the total length of the table is now going to be 245, which is this here, the LG, and that brings you from N block to N block. So this section over here has the details of what you've put into the system so far. We've got aluminum carriage, the installation size is 12, with a standard lead screw nut. The end supports, like the end blocks, are aluminum. We've got plain bearings for the lead screw support, and the shafts are 12 millimeters, made out of hard anodized aluminum. Lead screw is a trapezoidal 10 by 2. We chose right head thread, and we're using stainless steel to 303. So to get to the next stage, which is kind of the most exciting part, we have to accept the Igus liability disclaimer, which we can always look up at some other point, and then we get to this section. So this is where you can add all the different type of gadgets to the end of here. If you need a V drive, if you need a position indicator, a manual clamp, something like that, or a hand wheel, you can choose all of those here. You can choose left or right counting direction. You can choose front or upside down display orientation. There's a clamp that you can add. And there's 2 different style hand wheels you can add. So let's put an 80 millimeter one, the larger one, on here. Also, this entire assembly, once you build it, can be switched. So now you can either have it upright, or we can keep changing it to 90-degree positions. So here, once it stops thinking, in the top right corner, we're going to get a 3D depiction of the actuator we have put together. So here we are with the 80mm wheel. We've got the position indicator, aluminum blocks, 12mm shafts, the 10 by 2 screw. It even tells you what the approximate weight is going to be over here on the left. All of this information here. All of the information in this Drylin system summary is available now in this configuration PDF. So now if I open this up, it gives me that LTW number, which I was talking about earlier, which is important because we can always throw that back into the configurator to pull all this information back up. It gives you a short section here. It shows you everything that you've inputted here, the carriage, the blocks, all the data we've given, plus the pricing. What's cool too is that this final page, which kind of gets lost sometimes, but just know that it's there. In case you wanted to buy more than one piece, it automatically adds the next few price breaks for the actuator you selected. What you can also do from this section is download 3D CAD model or download a step file. I would do that now for you, but that might take a little bit of time. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes to generate. What we can do here is the dimensioned PDF drawing. This only takes maybe 1 or 2 minutes, but this is very helpful too. Because historically, over at Igus, if somebody wants to buy an actuator from us and we want to have a drawing made for it, you know, it'll have to go through our CAD department. You know, the engineers have to take a look at it. They have to put together the drawing. It usually takes about 2 to 3 days turnaround time, just because that's how long it takes to go through the whole process. Now we can just, in a matter of minutes, get a PDF of a 2-dimensional drawing and also the CAD model as well. There it is. And here we go. So we've got a nice drawing with our LTW number. And you're able to take a look at what you're interested in ordering. Once we move over to add to shopping basket, because I just want to show you the last page here. The idea to have a one-stop shop for this style of actuator for us has been something we really wanted to have for a while, and now that we have it, it's very exciting for us. Here we go. So now we can go to the shopping cart. This shows you, now we have a Colt number. That's even more of a fancy number, because now that means that it's gone into our system, so we can pull it up without even having to look into the configurator. Oh, also, if you're on our website, we have these live chats that can show up, and you can talk to one of our folks in the office. So from here, you can have a bill of materials, the drawing, the dimensional drawing. If you need to go back and edit the configuration, you can from here. Like before, you saw the different pricing for the higher quantities. I believe you can go up to 10 pieces here, and it'll change the price for you. It'll give you your shipping costs. At this time, we can only offer UPS. It'd be $26 to ship it. If what you selected is made out of stuff that we have, parts that we have in stock currently in Rhode Island, then it should only take a few days before we get this out to you. If it's something that requires machining or something a little bit more complex, or if it's going to be coming from our factory in Germany, we'd probably tack on a couple of, more weeks. But we'll be in touch to talk to you more about that once you order. So this is kind of where you end up. Then you can go to checkout. You can make yourself put all your information over here, and you can register yourself, and you can buy right from here. So I wanted to show you some examples of where we find some of our linear technology in packaging industries. Over down here, we've got 3D printers, we've got camera sliders, we've got a 3D printer over on the left, in which one of our SLW tables is in. We've got a ZLW, a belt-driven table actuator, and one of these inspection cameras. And we can make these gantries here, all electronic. We have a picking machine that we're using that in currently over there. There's also additional Igus tools. There's cable carrier tools, there's flex cable tools. There's the tool that I just showed you for the linear HTS actuators, but there's also ones for the bearings themselves. We also have another one for all our iGlide bearings, which are our plane bearings, the ball bearings, the spherical bearings. There's also additional tools for low-cost robotic components. Some of our bar stock, if you wanted just some of our iGlide polymer plastic material. And all of these are pretty easy to find on that first page of our website. I'll just show you when we first started, where it says configurators. So here's our North American product managers. We've got Nicole Lang over in the top left for all of our iGlide bearings. We've got Matt Mowry, who's been joining us this afternoon. He helps, well, he's the product manager. He doesn't just help, he manages the product for Drylin. And then we've got E-Chain at the bottom with Dan Thompson, and Chain Flex is handled by Don Nestor. All of them and all of us are available here. You can always call us or email us whenever you need anything. So we also we can show you this at a different time also, but I wanted to let you know that it's available. And if you do want to take one of these tours, please let us know. We can show you a virtual tour of our 2020 news, which is all of our new products that have come out this past year. There's some plastic blocks here. There's a whole bunch of interesting stuff to do with low-cost automation that we've got going on. It'll look kind of like this. You'll be able to go through all the different materials and new components. So that is pretty much what I wanted to show you guys as far as the HTS configurator goes.